Good morning, students. In this semester, we are having the subject Professional Practice, Law and Ethics. So, basically, we are starting with the first module. So, there it is basically the professional practices are there. So, what is the learning objective from this topic we would get? Basically, to raise awareness of the engineering ethics and human values, to investigate the different moral dilemmas and decisions that individual and organization in the engineering profession face, even to investigate the moral values, character, policies, and connection of people and business engaged in the technical activity. So basically, from this subject, the first module, what it tells that basically, it gives a short introduction to the course, as well as in this module, we will discuss the responsibility of the engineers. Even we will focus on the investigations about what exactly the responsibility is, distinguishing between the passive responsibility for things that happened in the past, as well as the active responsibility for things not yet attained. So in this module, the different role of the codes of the conduct in engineering are also there. In particular, we focus on the professional code as they have been proposed by the professional engineering societies and on corporate codes as they have been formulated by companies also. So, and we will discuss this the two type of codes, their structure, their content, and the number of common objections that have been leveled against the code of conduct. Basically, in this subject, so in the professional practice, the term that is called as the various stakeholders there. So stakeholders play an important role because for an engineering practice, the stakeholders varies based on the different projects. In the professional practice in engineering, say and architecture or in civil engineering, that involves the collaboration of various stakeholders to ensure the safety, efficiency, and ethical conduct in the built environment. The key stakeholders they include mainly the government entities, standardization bodies, professional organizations, and the client or the owners. So in this case, each stakeholder plays a crucial role in shaping the industry, contributing to the regulatory frameworks, even setting standards, certifying professionals, and governing roles through the contractual agreements. Basically, in the professional practice, that whenever we are talking about that is the distinctive roles that include the overall say success, safety, ethical conduct, where understanding about these sections or the bodies is very important, because overall whenever there is a professionalism, there also comes an attention towards the ethics in the engineering practice, because engineers are supposed not only to carry out their work competently and skillfully, but also to be aware of the broader ethical and social implications of engineering, and to be able to reflect on this. Like, means basically there are the moral sensibility or the moral analysis skills, moral creativity, we can say moral judgment skills. So based on the different aspects, this ethics varies. So whenever we are talking about here, just like you can see in the slide, there is the collaboration or the role of government. So in the government, the constituting regulatory bodies, they are establishing the bodies to regulate or oversee professional practices within the specific industry or sector. So whenever these regulatory bodies are there, so they are also prescribing certain norms And these norms include the formulating and enforcing regulations and standards to ensure the safety, quality, and the ethical conduct of professionals for the well-being of citizens. Then there are certain standardization bodies, that is like BIS or IRC code. So these standardization bodies, what they do, the formulation standards of practice means developing industry-wide standards and best practices to ensure consistency, quality, and safety across various professional domains, like the professional bodies, for example, institution of engineers, the earlier I have told the Indian Road Congress, IRC, or it is ECI or IIA or COA. So all these professional bodies, they are providing the certifying professionals, means recognizing and certifying the competence of professionals within specific fields to uphold and maintain the high standard of expertise. And even these professional bodies are also offering platforms for interaction, like providing various forums for the professionals to share knowledge, encourage in continuous learning and development. And with these professional bodies, there are further formation for the local bodies or the planning authorities. So basically, the local bodies or planning authorities, they regulate the local project, means the projects within specific geographic locations that ensure compliance within the local regulations and the standards. Even collaboration with the professionals, that include engaging with the professionals to facilitate effective urban planning development and adherence to the local laws. And finally, the client or the owners. So the role governed by the contracts means defining project expectations, any sort of deliverables, and timelines through contractual agreement, where basically the collaborative partnership, that includes the collaborating with the professionals to ensure successful project outcomes, aligning objectives and managing expectations. So there are different points or subsections there. So basically, understanding these roles include an effective professional environment. Means collaboration among the stakeholders is very vital to ensure projects are not successfully but also adhere to the ethical standards and contribute positively to the society. So basically, whenever we are talking about the society or the ethics, so or the stakeholders' role there, basically, whenever these roles are contributed, so the key players in the decision making, even the collaborative work environment or enhancing the synergy. So this all includes the role of human values and ethics. So ethics and values, these are basically the type of a freeing force that allows for increased performance, better relationships, and greater sense of purpose and identification within the stakeholders. So the syllabus of this subject or the module is managed in such a way to provide basically a framework for understanding the human values and how they affect the life, business, and the leaderships. So, for understanding this, the professional practice, the stakeholder role is needs to be very clear. So, for this, the identifying the stakeholders and their interests. Earlier, we have discussed that the various stakeholders are there and they play a major role, that is the government entities, standardization bodies, the professional organizations, or the clients. So basically, whenever it is about the topic of identification of stakeholders, it comes. The first as the internal stakeholders. So internal stakeholder means these are certain individuals or groups within the organization that directly involved in the project. So they may include like project manager, employees, and department head. These are internal stakeholders. External stakeholder means these are the individuals or the groups which work outside the organization or who can be affected by the project. Means external stakeholders, they include the client, customer, the regulatory bodies, the suppliers, local communities, and even the advocacy groups also. So the identification or the clear understanding between the internal stakeholder and external stakeholder is very vital. Then the stakeholders' interest. So considering the financial interest, many stakeholders, including the investor as well as the shareholders, are primarily concerned with the financial success of the project or the organization. So they include basically the return on the investment, profitability, and financial stability. So based on the different aspects there, the other means apart from the financial interest, it is the operational interest also, just like the internal stakeholders such as the employees and management. They are often concerned with the efficient and effective functioning of the daily operations, which involves related to the workflow, productivity, or the resource allocation. Then comes whenever the this comes under the varied interest topics. So there the ethical and social interests are also there. So external stakeholders, including the community, customer, or the advocacy groups, so they may be concerned with the ethical and social impact of the project. So just like environmental sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and the adherence towards the ethical standards. So whenever the standard is followed there, so there should be a regulatory and legal interest also. The regulatory bodies and government agencies, they have a significant interest in ensuring that projects comply with laws and regulations. So non-compliance of such things can lead to legal consequences also, even fine or penalties also. There are the topics related to the engagement of the dynamics. So different dynamics this follows. Just like the environmental interest, reputational interest, the innovation and technological interest. So basically environmental interest, in the environmental interest, stakeholders may have the concern related to the environmental impact of the project. So this include basically the resource usage, waste generation, and overall environmental sustainability. In terms of reputational interest, so maintaining a positive reputation is crucial for any organization. Like the stakeholders, especially client and customers, are interested in projects that enhance the reputation of organization and contribute positively to its brand image. So maintaining the reputational interest. So the next concern is the innovation and technological interest also. So some stakeholders, which are particularly those in the research and development or the technologically driven industries, they may focus on innovation and technological advancement. So focusing on this is another part there. So concerning about this, so the stakeholder here means the last is the primary stakeholder or the secondary stakeholder. Means primary stakeholder, they have a direct and significant impact on the project, or secondary stakeholder, they have an indirect or they have less significant impact but are still important to consider. Then comes the different role of the government constituting the regulation and the policies. So the different government entities, through the regulatory bodies or standardization organizations, they play a fundamental role in establishing and maintaining a framework that ensures safety and well-being of the citizens. So regulatory bodies such as the Municipal Planning Department, national constructional authorities, they prescribe norms and regulations that govern the planning, design, construction, and maintenance of structure. So these norms are formulated to safeguard public health, safety, and welfare. So different organizations include like the Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS, Indian Road Congress. So they contribute to the establishment of uniform standards of practice. For example, BIS. So BIS formulates standards for materials, construction practices, and safety protocols by providing a baseline for professionals to adhere to their project. So these standards serve as a benchmark, and this benchmark maintain the consistency and quality across the different industries. So, focusing on the different government regulations and the standardization bodies, so the compliance challenges are there. So, whenever the standardization bodies are there, so they play a crucial role in shaping the practices of professionals by formulating and updating industry standards. Like every year, or after 2 years or 3 years, the different codal provisions are modified. For example, the Bureau of Indian Standards in India, they set standard for various engineering and construction materials. So these standards act as a reference point for the professionals and guiding them in their work and promoting the compatibility. Then the Indian Road Congress, they focus on formulating standards related to the road design, road engineering and transportation. So these standards cover the aspects road design, construction materials, and traffic management, were contributing to the development of a safe infrastructure network. Like nowadays, you have seen in the news also that our Indian road infrastructure is expanding a lot. So, major focus is on expansion of the road, and for this, a major budget is being sanctioned there. So, another professional bodies that include institution of engineers, then the based on these professional bodies, so basically individuals or as a group, they foster a sense of community within the industry. For example, the Institute of Engineers, they certify engineers and architects by recognizing their competence and ethical standards. So these certifications enhance the credibility of professionals and provide a platform for continuous learning and development. So not only this, so the other codes that I'm talking about, the IIA, that is the Institution of Architects, or COA, that is the Council of Architecture. So they cater to the specific disciplines like the Engineering Council of India. So different bodies are there, and these professional bodies offer platforms for interaction, knowledge exchange, and collaboration among the different like conferences, seminars, or network events. So then, while focusing on these standardization bodies, so there are certain challenges in navigating the government regulations. So these include the diverse regulatory landscape, means different projects may fail under the jurisdiction of multiple government agencies, each with its own set of regulations. Even the regulations may vary at local, regional, and national levels, adding complexity to compliance efforts. Then you can see the continuous education and training. This means the continuous education and training. So these are a part of strategies for successful navigation. So some are challenges. What are the challenges? Diverse regulatory landscape are one of the challenge. Interdisciplinary work is another challenge. Stringent safety standards is another challenge. And what are the strategies for the successful navigation? This include continuous education and training, the project planning, utilization of technology. So these include basically the different strategies for the complexities as well as the different government regulations. Then comes the client or the owners. So these are also a part of the our stakeholder. So client or owner of a project, they play a significant role in professional practice through the contractual agreement. Like the contract define the scope of work, responsibilities, the timelines, and financial agreements between the professionals and the client. The terms and conditions outlined in contract, they govern the relationship between the parties, ensuring clarity and accountability. So basically the professionals are obligated to fulfill the contractual obligations, delivering projects that meet the specified standards and requirements. In turn, the client have the responsibility to provide necessary information, approval, and payment as per the agreed terms. So basically, contract serve as a legal document that protect the interest of both parties and contribute to the overall success and integration of the project. So at the last, that different we have talked about the different aspects of the stakeholders, the bodies or their contracts. So whenever as an outcome, if we would discuss that what are the basically engineering based, like a this all comes under a profession, like for a civil engineer or in any other engineering discipline, these laws and ethics or related to this understanding is very vital. Means profession, whenever we are talking about the profession means a job or occupation that help a person earn a living is called as profession. So the main criteria of profession, what are the profession main criterias? Advanced expertise, some self regulation, as well as the basically the if I would discuss about the professional criteria means the professional criteria is to have a solid understanding of both technical and liberal aspects. The continuing education and knowledge update is important. Then, in terms of self-regulation, it is basically the process by which an organization that provides a professional set of rules. So, professionalism is basically very vital because professionalism, it encompasses all the aspect of the professional practices. That includes the professional responsibility also, and basically the professional ethics or engineering ethics that needs to be focused. So in the next uh, section or in the next class, we will discuss basically about in elaboration the professional ethics, engineering ethics, personal ethics, different code of ethics, as well as like the conflict of interests are there. And based on the ethics, if I would say that different you have seen in the stories also of just like Mahabharat, that the different sections are there, and from that Mahabharat we can get a clear picture of just like what is a professional practice and what is an ethics, or the dilemma in between the ethical ground and the professional practices. So if I would say just a glimpse of like that a story, we all know Eklavya, about the story about Eklavya. So Eklavya is a skilled archer, we all know that, and he learned the art of archery on his own by creating the statue of Dronacharya. and practicing in front of it. So when he approached Dronacharya to become his disciple, Dronacharya was bounded by his duty to protect his royal discipline. Arjuna, so basically, when then asked at the last, we all know that because of Arjuna, he asked for the Eklavya's right thumb as Guru Dakshina, a traditional gift for a teacher. That is the professional practice, what is being asked for. But here comes the ethics, means the story that is heard. So the story that raises an ethical question about the treatment of Eklavya and the obligation of a teacher towards all students, irrespective of their background. So, means under the eyes of Dronacharya, Arjun and Eklavya both are not same. So, here comes the ethical ground. Means that I have already told, the obligation of a teacher towards all students. So irrespective of background, a teacher should have to be same to all students. He should not have to be biased towards anyone. So in every aspects, there are the professional practices as well as ethics also. So in the next class, we will discuss in detail about these aspects.